Okay, I'm back for part 3 in my series of videos on how TNA can improve their product. I know it might seem like I'm turning these things out like a factory right now, but once I did the first one it was kind of hard to stop. So, here we go. Next on my list, and I've mentioned this many times before already, TNA needs to be more focused with how they build toward their pay-per-views. This is very, very important. TNA has made a lot of strides with their product since Impact first debuted on Spike TV back in 2005. They have awesome main eventers now that can carry pay-per-view main events. Guys like Kurt Angle, Booker T, Christian Cage, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Abyss. And with a 2-hour deal, they now have twice as much TV time to promote their product and their stars. And in spite of all the stupid shit that they do sometimes, their angles and storylines are way more creative than what the WWE has been producing since Stephanie McMahon took over as head of creative. And yet, with all these things going their way, the pay-per-view buy rates continue to be not that great. And the reason for this, as far as I can figure out, is that the way they build toward their pay-per-views is very unfocused and very scattered. They can deliver on pay-per-view, but unless they can hype up their shows better than they've been doing, it's not going to matter because people aren't going to buy them. TNA has good writers on their creative team, but the problem I've been having with these people is that they're writing the shows so that they lead directly into next week's show, but not so that they lead up to the pay-per-views every month. Okay, and for a perfect example, let's look at this Christian Cage Kurt Angle program. All right, these two guys have been feuding over the world title for a while now. And common sense would tell us that the world title should be at the center of this feud. It should be the feud's main focus. But instead, this feud has been all about other stuff that has nothing to do with the world title. You know, it's been all about the Christian Coalition, or it's been all about the Angle Alliance. Basically, it's been about AJ Styles and Tomko, and who are they going to align themselves with? And even after Tomko made his decision, to strike out on his own and be his own man, Kurt Angle was still focused on getting Tomko into the Angle Alliance, and there's nothing wrong with that technically, except that it doesn't really make us want to shell out $30 to see his title defense against Christian Cage, does it? No, it doesn't. This storyline was focused on the people around the world title, but not on the title itself. The belt is made to look completely unimportant to the two guys who are feuding over it. They don't care that much about the title, so the fans aren't going to care about them fighting over it at the pay-per-view. Ergo, on the basis of the main event, the pay-per-view doesn't seem worth ordering. And if the match is for the if the match is for the world title, the feud should be about the world title. That's what it should be focused on, and that's the problem. If you don't have the proper focus and the proper build, the pay-per-view isn't going to feel special. It's not going to feel like an event. It's just going to feel like a 3-hour episode of Impact. When you have two people feuding, you need to pick a focal point of the feud and stick to it. Don't waste time on a bunch of other stuff that has little or nothing to do with what the feud is supposed to be about. They're fighting over a championship. Okay, fine. You need to get them in each other's faces every single week, establish that the belt is so important to each of them that they want to kill each other over it. Then let the tension between them build higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until it finally culminates at that climactic moment at the pay-per-view when they get in the ring and tear each other limb from limb. Think of it as episodic TV on the major networks. How these shows usually work is that they spend the season laying the groundwork for their storylines, getting all their ducks in a row. And then when sweeps month comes around, when those big ratings mean the most, that's when they go for the huge payoff. Seth has been pining for Summer all season long, so in sweeps month they finally kiss. Jack is racing against the clock to capture the terrorists who stole a nuclear missile. Then in sweeps month they shoot the missile at the White House. TNA needs to think of it like that. A pay-per-view is not just like any other show. A pay-per-view is when you pull out all the stops, kiss the girl, fire the missile, and nuke the president. Metaphorically. Moving on, next on my list is TNA needs to cool it with all these constant gimmick matches. It seems like traditional straight-up matches are becoming a lot less common in TNA lately. Excuse me. And more and more we're seeing shows where almost every match has some kind of gimmick or some kind of bizarre, convoluted stipulation. And when you have these things ad nauseum, they don't mean anything after a while, and they just start to feel really, really stupid. And a lot of the times these stipulations don't even make sense either. I mean, what the hell is the point of a reverse battle royal? I mean, you see all these guys fighting each other outside the ring when it would be so much easier for them to just jump into the ring real quick before someone stops them. I mean, it looks ridiculous on camera, and there's just no point to it. I mean, when it comes to gimmick matches, as far as I'm concerned, the right formula is less is more, both in quantity and execution. You know, save them for when they mean something, and then when you have them, keep them as simple as possible. For example, the ladder match. At the end of last year, TNA had three ladder matches. The first one, Kaz versus Christian. It was on a pay-per-view. It was the final match in the Fight for the Right tournament to win a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So the match felt special. They built up to it for weeks. It delivered in the action, and they paid it off in the storyline exactly the right way, with Kaz getting the upset win over Christian and going on to challenge Kurt Angle. So the match ended up having a ton of meaning. But then in the next 2 months, TNA had 2 more ladder matches. And they weren't even on pay-per-views either. They gave the matches away on free TV without building up to them at all. You know, the matches themselves were lackluster compared to Kaz versus Christian, and they had no long-term ramifications whatsoever. You know, it was literally just them having a ladder match for the sake of having a ladder match. And the only thing that this ended up accomplishing was diluting the significance of the ladder match concept. Because after you've had 3 ladder matches in as many months, 2 of which were underwhelming, guess what happens? The idea of a ladder match doesn't feel that special anymore. And TNA is running this risk with the Ultimate X too. You know, they had one at Bound for Glory, they had one at Final Resolution, and now if I were running the creative team, I would seriously cool it with the Ultimate X at least until Bound for Glory 2008, and I wouldn't even think about having another ladder match for a good solid year. You know, save the gimmick matches for when they really mean something. Save them for when they feel special. And above all else, when you do have one, it needs to make sense. This feast or fired thing, it made no sense at all. You know, it was a decent idea on paper to put the title match contracts in briefcases and have people fight over them, but why in the world would you put a pink slip in there? I mean, that's just idiotic. And suppose Kurt Angle was in the match and he got the case with the pink slip in it. Are you then going to fire Kurt Angle, who's your biggest star? No, you're not. I mean, it's just dumb. Not to mention the fact that the whole briefcase storyline that followed the match has gotten so damn convoluted that I'm really beginning not to care anymore. I mean, you've got Petey Williams and Scott Steiner feuding over their briefcases when the cases themselves are meaningless because the championship contracts inside them have already been awarded. I mean, if Petey Williams is supposed to get a push against Scott Steiner out of this storyline, just push him already. And then there's these retarded pole matches. I mean, the creative team has subjected us to a 4 corners Misty the Rat on a pole match, despite Kaz being awesome as usual. I swear this is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this thing brought back horrible memories of the Shane Douglas, Billy Kidman, Viagra on a pole match from WCW. It was so bad. I mean, the whole concept of the pole match is retarded in the first place. I hate them. I always have. And if I never see another something on a pole match, it'll be too soon. Either way, every time that they have a match like this, it just reeks of them trying way too hard to be unique and innovative, and they just end up falling all over themselves. The upshot is, use the concept matches sporadically so that when they take place, they have meaning. And when they do take place, keep them as simple as possible so that they make sense. The ladder match is a simple idea. Ultimate X is a simple idea. Elevation X is a simple idea. Barbed Wire Massacre is a simple idea. But reverse battle royals and wrestlers fighting over briefcases that may or may not contain pink slips in them are not simple. They're convoluted and needlessly complicated, and therefore they don't make sense. Oh, and pole matches are just stupid in general.